Hello. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Thank you for joining me on your mat. We're going to take it slow today. We're going to do a stretch class, so not quite a yin, but close. Um, it's just kind of been one of those days for me where um, there's been a really busy weekend, and I just feel like I need to move my body, but in a way that's more restorative. So if you're feeling that way too, this is the class for you. If you're not feeling that way and you're like, darn, I really wanted some like ramped up energy, obviously there are other classes that you can access in this library, or you can try this. Maybe the fact that you're resisting it is showing you that it's exactly what you need. Um, all right, so I do have an intention. It's something that I've been thinking a lot about this week. It's something that I heard from Brene Brown. She was talking about near enemies and far enemies. And the far enemy is the opposite of something. So let's say we're talking about connection. The far enemy would be disconnection or detachment or avoidance, even. The near enemy is control. And I think that control is something that we all battle with. We tend to think that control is about, controlling others' behaviors or actions, but it can come in more subliminal ways as well, like manipulating a situation or making assumptions around what someone's thinking or feeling. And so then you kind of adapt to that when you haven't really even discussed it with them. So you're kind of trying to control the environment, trying to control moods within yourself, with others. And so my point is, because we are on our mat alone, and my point is that there are ways that we can even lack connection with ourselves. And so maybe that's something you can think about when you're on your mat today, is where does this show up for you when you're feeling uncertain and you're trying to control a situation, or you're even trying to control your own behavior, your own thoughts. That shows up a lot in yoga, in the physical practice of yoga. And so let's just use that today in our practice, just noticing yourself and when you feel very connected to yourself versus when you're really trying to control the experience. Okay, so we're going to start in easy pose, which is just a cross-legged, comfortable position. I don't have any props with me today, but if you have props at home that you want to use, have them around. They're always handy. And so find a nice, easy cross-legged position. I'm going to face the camera. You can face the front of your mat, or you can face the wide edge of your mat, whatever works for you. So with your legs crossed, just bring your hands to your knees, close your eyes. And start by noticing. Start by paying attention. Paying attention to the different places that your body is touching the floor, or your body is touching itself. So noticing your hands on your knees, noticing your sit bones. We start by touch, and then we come into sounds. For me, I can hear the birds chirping outside. I can hear a little bit of traffic because my window's open. I can hear my breath. What about you? What do you hear right now with your eyes closed on your mat? And then your eyes are closed, but can you see the different shapes behind your eyelids, or the different variations of light and dark? Is there a smell? to your room. Again, my window's open so I can smell the humidity. Take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. And then just drop your right ear to your right shoulder. You can keep your eyes closed for most of the practice today. Hopefully I can lead you through this sequence with your eyes closed. And when you come into this next stretch, just really notice if there's tension in the shoulders. Let the shoulders be very heavy. Let your head get very heavy. Notice any tension in your jaw. See if you can soften. Release. Right? Try not to control your body, but just notice and explore. So find the sensation that works best for you by maybe moving your chin around and then finding stillness. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, tuck your chin towards your collarbone and then gently trace your collarbone down through center and all the way up to the other side. And then turn the head so left ear is over left shoulder. I'm keeping my hands on my knees. There are a lot of different variations to this pose. If you want to bring your right fingertips down or lift your right hand up, you're more than welcome to find different variations. Some people also like to put their left hand on the right side of their head, just to add a little bit more. Try not to pull your head, just lengthen the neck. Keep your lower ribs tucked in and just allow everything to get heavy towards the mat. And notice if you're holding tension in your hips. Just try to release everything. And deep breath in. As you exhale, tuck your chin down towards your collarbone. Lower your chin to center and stay here. So stay here with your head at center. Just really let your head hang forward. With your hands on your knees, keep your chin towards your chest and then curve the spine. So I'm going to turn so you can see what I'm doing. So you're going to curve your spine. Sit back on your sit bones. Shoulders can come up towards ears and then pull them away from the ears. Really hold on to your knees. And then inhale to come up to neutral. So you're rocking back forward on your sit bones. Lift your heart up. Chin is parallel. Shoulders pulling down and together. Lower ribs tucked in. And then as you exhale, you're going to just take an easy twist in one direction. I'm twisting towards the right, but you can twist in any way that you'd like for the first side. The direction that you're twisting, that hand goes behind, kind of right at the base of your sacrum. You can press into the mat to help you pull your lower belly forward and lift your heart up. And then with the opposite knee, you just kind of guide yourself deeper into your twist. Your nose can go towards your back shoulder. You can tuck your chin. You can, again, bring your ear over top of the shoulder for a neck stretch. It's, again, whatever feels right for you. Try to draw your shoulder blades together. Keep your heart lifted. Soften the grip on your knee. One more inhale. And then come to center and just easy fold over the legs. So it can be any amount. I like to come down on my elbows and keep my chin lifted, but you can lower your chin if you'd like. And so I'm going to resist talking you through the whole practice. Part of these slower paced classes are really about you tuning inwards and exploring your own experience rather than me constantly giving you something to think about. Right? I set the intention at the beginning, and maybe so every pose you're kind of noticing, am I controlling something here? Is something uncomfortable and so I'm trying to manipulate the situation? Or can I really just let go? Let go with your breath, let go with your body. Just trust yourself. Trust is necessary to release control. Okay, inhale to come back up. So you're coming back up to seated, and you're going to switch the position of your legs. So the leg that's behind is going to come in front. I'm actually going to grab a block because my right hip is a little bit sensitive. So I switch the position of my legs. I get nice and tall, take a breath in, engage the lower abdominal muscles, and then I'm going in the opposite direction, which for me is towards the left. So the left hand is coming behind. Lift the heart up and start to twist. Right hand to the left knee, shoulders relaxed and down. And then turning the nose towards the back shoulder. Again, you can move the head around and kind of feel what works best for you. And then just try to soften into the pose. So even though things are very dynamic, so for me it's very dynamic, I'm pushing into the back hand. I'm trying to draw my shoulders down and together, so there's a lot happening. But in the areas that there isn't a lot happening, like this hand here, maybe I can just release a little bit. And in my hip flexors, maybe I can release. So even if it's just an energetic awareness, right? So kind of scan your body, notice, hey, are my feet doing something that they don't need to do? Like, are my toes flexed? Soften your toes. Soften your hips, your lower belly. So notice your breath. Notice the environment, the sounds, the smells, the light behind your eyes. I said I wouldn't talk, but I'm talking a lot. If your eyes are open, just kind of notice yourself looking around. Pick out 2 or 3 things. Just really appreciate those things. Big breath in. Slow breath out. 2 more times. And then coming back to neutral, big breath in. Exhale, folding forward. So last time the head was lifted, maybe this time you let the head get heavy. And you just kind of hang out here. We're going to take 10 breaths. Inhale between the shoulder blades, exhale, soften down, lift yourself back up nice and slowly. Walk your hands back towards your body. You're going to remove any props that you might have and then rock yourself forward to hands and knees. So you're coming to tabletop position. Yeah, knees under hips. And then just lower the belly down. Keep your toes tucked. Lower the belly down, just kind of hang out here. Just feeling the front line of the body start to open up. Pulling the heart forward. So I do not play music during these video recordings. However, I'll start to add some recommended Spotify playlists. If you flatten your feet, curve the spine, tuck the chin. Or, you can have your own playlist ready to go as you turn the video on. Lower the belly down, pull the heart forward, tuck the toes. Gonna play with the elbow creases. Well, how does it feel when they go forward? How does it feel when they face each other? And then press your ribs to the right and start making barrel rolls, so big circles with the ribs. Your shoulders can stay kind of stable, or you can just kind of move your spine in all different ways. Maybe you look back. Maybe you roll your head in the opposite direction of your ribs. Just kind of close your eyes. Feel through the things. Your toes are tucked behind you to help protect your knees. Lower the belly down and then find neutral. You're going to cross. Actually, you're not going to cross your ankles yet. You're going to flatten your feet, and we're going to do a little bit for the wrists. So just take the left hand and flip it. Just do the left hand first. And again, move your elbow around. Some of us are hyper flexible with our elbows. So move your elbow crease towards the top of the mat. Just kind of notice how that stretches the forearm. And then you can send your hips back a little bit. You could try making a fist with your fingers. Just kind of feel the different sensations here. Then turn your palms so that your fingertips are towards the center of the mat. So I'm going to face you. So you're here, right? Maybe you have to keep your elbow bent, right? Depending on your mobility. Or you can straighten, and again, you can kind of play with that elbow, the flexibility of the elbow, and you can try making a fist. That is always so challenging for me. And then your toes are tucked behind you. You're just going to sit back on those toes and just release. So you can kind of shake out nice and gently, or you can flick water off your fingertips, make circles with your fingers. Actually, my yoga teacher was talking once about these kind of random movements with your hands and your fingers, and she was saying that gymnasts or acrobats, like professional acrobats, they do this kind of thing for 10 minutes as part of their warm-up, just kind of moving their hands and making fists, and you can really feel that in the forearms. I don't know about you, but I can. And so they do this to kind of gain strength and mobility, maintain mobility. Okay, other side. So tabletop position. You're going to flip the right hand so the fingertips come towards your knees. You are going to move your elbow crease around and then maybe send your hips back. Right? So if you're right-handed, you might actually feel more sensation on the right side. We tend to be a little bit tighter on the dominant side. So right-handed people are going to have tighter right forearms. Yeah. Turn your fingertips. Oh, I forgot. Make a fist. For me, definitely right side has more sensation. Yeah. And I invite you to resist calling your body good or bad. It's not like, I hear this sometimes, people will say like, oh, this is my bad wrist. Okay, no. Nothing in your body is bad. Everything in your body is teaching you something. Okay, turn your fingertips towards the middle of the mat. And then maybe you make a fist here. I know sometimes my kids will be very frustrated with me when I tell them, oh, this is teaching you something. They're like, Mom, not everything is a lesson. Actually, everything is a lesson. Everything is a lesson. And our body talks to us in sensations. There's no other way that your body can talk to you. So when you have one wrist that's a little bit more painful or tight or just has more sensation than the other wrist, that doesn't mean it's your bad wrist. It just means there's something going on in that wrist that needs your attention. Yep. Okay. Let's sit back again. Nice toe stretch while we kind of release what we just did in the wrist. Right? I like to flick. I find that helps to really kind of bring everything back to neutral. Shake it out. Make these fun circles. Imagine you're like an Egyptian gypsy dancer or something. Are gypsies and Egyptians the same? No, they're probably very different. But imagine you had all these fancy moves. All right. Okay, so now we're going to come to butterfly. So you're going to come forward. Now cross your ankles and sit back behind your feet. Bring the soles of the feet together, right? So you can have, I'm going to face you. You could have the soles of your feet together and your feet very close to your groin. That'll give you more of a stretch on the inner thighs. Or you can have more of a diamond shape. Try both. Try both and see which one feels best for you. And maybe if you always do it the same way, you're going to try something different. I'm putting a prop under my right hip because I'm having challenges right now. My right hip is trying to teach me something about external rotation. Okay, so I like to kind of rock back and forth, find a nice neutral position for my sit bones, pull the heart up, and then think of bringing the ribs down. So notice I'm not using my hands. I'm really trying to let my body decide how far I go. The heart is pulling forward and the tailbone is pulling back, and I'm coming down, 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 and eventually I will not come down any further. And that's when I can just kind of soften. And you can choose, as we did before, to either keep the chest lifted and the chin and the back of the neck kind of neutral, or you can round. So we are going to be doing a lot of forward folds today. So maybe you choose one time to round the spine, one time to keep the spine long, just to see if you can access different parts of your body. Noticing where the sensations are. You know, there's no right or wrong way of feeling these poses. Depending on what your mobility is, you're going to feel it in different areas. So as long as there's no pain, we don't want pain. If there's pain, then just kind of come up a little bit. But, you know, as I'm watching my body in this pose, if I'm internally paying attention to the sensations, like I notice something a little bit more on the right lower back area. You know, my mid back is engaged because I'm keeping my heart lifted, so I'm noticing that, how that's affecting things. And then my left kind of hip crease, for me, that's kind of where I'm feeling this. And all that really makes sense considering what's happening in my body these days. I'm going to take another deep breath in. Slow breath out. The shoulders round and be very heavy. I'm going to drop my head for the last 2 breaths. And then slowly start to come back up to neutral, nice and slow. Respecting your body, respecting the sensations of your body. All right. You will lean to one side and extend a leg. I'm extending my right leg and tucking my left leg in. All right, so you're going to start with a lateral bend. I like to take so if my left leg is bent, the left hand is coming behind. You can tuck your fingertips kind of into the back of your pants. Lift your heart up and imagine you're pressing your shoulder blades and the back of your head against a wall, and then you're just going to slide down that wall. You're going to slide. And again, if you notice, I'm not pulling, grabbing anything, just really allowing the torso to come down. Don't let that left sit bone come off the mat, so keep pushing that left sit bone down. And then you'll get to a point where you're like, yeah, there's a lot happening here, and I don't think I could go much further without kind of changing the shape. So at that point, you can put your right hand down, like you can rest. Sometimes it's nice. I like to just bend my elbow and even hold my head up here. Some people like to let the head dangle. You could have a block and kind of rest on the block. I like holding my head up. Well, that's what I'm going to do today. So you're really trying to keep your shoulders stacked. We will twist after this. So for now, just try to keep pulling that left shoulder back and then allowing that left sit bone to press down into the mat. My right toes are engaged, which is okay, but it's also very yang. So I'm going to try and release that and just try to relax as much as I can in this shape. Press those left ribs up. So you can keep that left hand behind you. You could also reach the left hand up. It's going to be more. You can bring the left hand behind your head, also more, or reach it overhead. This is a lot. So, right, some people can even reach down towards their toes. I'm staying more in this lateral. I'm not twisting quite as much. Take 2 more breaths. And then inhale, come up. Oh, nice. Back up to neutral. Big breath in and big breath out. Now turn to face your extended leg. So you don't really need to shift your hips much, but try to turn your ribs so that you're facing that leg, and then go ahead and fold over that extended leg any amount. I find I try to pull that right thigh bone into the hip socket. So I'm kind of pulling that right sit bone back as I draw my heart forward and down. If you don't have blocks, you don't need to. You can be upright on your fingertips here. If you do have blocks and you wanted to put a block kind of underneath one of your elbows, if that helps you, just feel like you can relax into the pose, then use the blocks, no problem. So if you've had an injury in any of your joints, you'll probably notice the muscles around that joint are just a little bit tighter. That could also be contributing to, this right or left side dominance. Just kind of taking that into consideration. And if it is something that's happening for you, then maybe stretching those muscles daily would be beneficial. One more deep breath in. And exhale. Help yourself back up. Gently, slowly pressing yourself back up to neutral spine, back to center. Oh, feels so good. Okay, so here's the fun transition. You're going to take your leg that's bent. For me, it's the left leg. You're going to take your hand back, and with your right hand, you're going to pick up your foot as much as you can. If you cannot quite grab your foot, pick up behind the knee. And then you're going to, so I'm going to turn just so you can see what I'm doing. So you're here, you're going to come down onto that elbow. So now I'm in an external rotation of the hip and I'm on my glute. Yeah? So play with that. So I like to kind of roll around on my glute until I find a really good spot. The knee, right, can be pulling down to the outer ribs, down towards the floor. Right, kind of rolling around on the hip crease, on the glute. So if you're here, maybe you're holding on with your forearm and you're just kind of, can you find a spot? Yeah. You could do like a rock the baby where you have the foot in your elbow crease and you come down. It's going to be a little bit more intense. And then once you find kind of a nice massage trigger point, stay there. We're going to just stay here. It's basically pigeon on your back. So now foot comes back into the hand, left hand comes out, press yourself back up, and then just release, extend the leg, shake it out. Okay, so all of that now on the opposite side. So for me, that means left leg is going to extend, right leg is going to bend in. I'm using a prop to just support my hip. All right, so trying to keep my hair out of the microphone. Right hand behind you, lift your chest up. If this is too much already for your shoulder, see, I feel more on this shoulder than the left shoulder. So I'm doing this and right away I'm having a stretch. Of course, you could always keep your hand beside you. You could have your hand down. What we really want to try to do is just keep the shoulders aligned and pull the shoulder blades together. Press the back of the head against an imaginary wall and then just kind of sliding that towards the left. Try to keep those left ribs pulling underneath you, so pulling towards the front. You can hang your head, you can rest on your fingertips or your knuckles. And then try to soften your left toes. Right sit bone is staying on the mat, it's pressing down. Right ribs are pressing to the right or up to the ceiling. So I have my left hand, I'm actually bringing it kind of diagonally, setting a nicer base for myself. So I do have a right SI joint injury. And so, yeah, lots of things happening on the right side of my body, the whole chain, the whole muscles along my spine, right side of my neck, right shoulder. Hips and shoulders are very connected. My right IT, my right hamstring, everything. Glutes, so much. So much happening in the glutes. 2 more breaths. Slowly coming back up to neutral. Turning your torso towards your extended leg. Now maybe you bring your hands to your heart. See what happens here. And then you start to come down. Think of reaching your heart towards your toes. Right? You're going to find a spot where you're like, oh, that feels like a good amount. You're going to stay there. So it's a little bit of a twist. Like the last pose, you're keeping the right shoulder up towards the ceiling. Now you're actually trying to bring that right shoulder. So it's also in line with the left shoulder, but with the chest over the leg. Push that right sit bone down. Big breath in. Slow breath out. Come on up. So you start to press yourself up. Yeah. You're going to bring your right hand behind you. You're going to grab your right foot with your left hand. Think of half happy baby. It's also a pigeon. So if you bring that right foot towards your left shoulder, you're going to be, or your left hip even, you're in this sort of pigeon on your back. So you're going to come down onto that right elbow. I'm going to turn so you have maybe a better view. Right, so here we are, coming down onto the right elbow. Finding a spot where you can just give your glutes a little bit of a massage. Kind of opening that hip up. So again, it could be like a happy baby, half happy baby hip, or a pigeon where the shin is coming closer to the chest. Kind of find a massage of the glutes. And you can find stillness. All right, let's come back up. So you're pressing into that right hand, lifting yourself up, extend your legs out. Give them a nice shake. We're going to come to a forward fold, caterpillar. So start by bringing your ribs to your thighs, yeah, and then hold on to your feet. So there's no space here. You could see my torso is touching my thighs. You're going to stay in this shape and start to press your heels away from you. Okay, kind of walk your heels away from you. You'll come to a point where there'll be space, right? You're going to be kind of like this shape where there's some space here. We're trying to avoid that. So if that's what you're feeling, then you have to come back up and kind of, you can even hold behind your knees like this, right? But we're trying to keep the connection of the ribs on the thighs. Pull your heart up and forward and your tailbone back. And now go ahead and round. So soften your legs, soften your head down. Tuck your chin into your chest. It's a very nurturing pose. You're turning inwards.
Slowly roll yourself up. Nice and slow. Start to lift your torso. So as you can see, my spine is still rounded. Now I'm going to tilt my pelvis forward, lift my lower ribs up, lift the heart up, chin up. Nice and tall. Beautiful. Big breath in. Slow breath out. Lean back so you can cross your ankles and then come back to hands and knees. So you're going to come back forward to hands and knees. All right. So here we are. Lower the belly down. Keep your toes tucked behind you. That's your inhale. And then exhale. Does this feel different than the first time you did it? Inhale, pull your hands towards your knees, heart forward, and then exhale. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Toes together, knees a little bit wider than your ribs, hips back, head down. Child's pose. You can really walk your fingertips far forward and then try to relax your elbows. You can make prayer hands and then draw your fingertips up towards the ceiling. One more breath. And then your hands come down. Inhale to press yourself back up to hands and knees. Bring your knees together at the back of the mat. Cross the right knee behind the left knee. Separate your feet. And then just move your hips forward and back. It's this nice internal rotation. You can even bring your top knee off the mat. Just try to go forward and back. How does that feel? And then press back, kind of your deepest stretch here. Just notice where your hips are. Try to pull both sit bones back. And then take 3 breaths. And inhale to come back up. Keep your knees crossed. Bring the left hand in front of your left knee. Sweep the right arm up. And then bring it behind you. Fingertips are going to brush the mat. Bring it forward, up and back. One more time, brush. Forward, up and back. And then keep your knees where they are, right? So hips over knees. Walk yourself to puppy stretch. With legs crossed. Two more breaths. Inhale, press yourself back up. Okay, uncross those knees. Move your hips around. Maybe a barrel roll or two. And then let's do the opposite side. So knees come together at the back of the mat. Left knee crosses behind right knee. Feet separate. Yeah. And then just start easing yourself forward and back. Right, the side's going to be different. You're going to find what feels good for you. Yes. Nice. Forward and back, forward and back. and then back and hold. So kind of find the best expression for 3 breaths. I have my elbows down. You can have your elbows lifted. And then come back up. Hips over knees. Right hand comes a little bit more to center of your chest, just so you can feel supported here. The left arm's going to sweep up, and then you're going to make 3 big circles. Kind of just move around. Feel what you can do here. A little bit different. And then down to puppy stretch. Press yourself back up. Uncross your legs. Toes together. Knees wide. Hips back. Child's pose number 2. So you can do the same child's pose. If you wanted to have your knees together for this one, you could do that. You could stack your fists, or you could rest your head all the way down, but you want your head resting on something. Eyes are closed. You're tapping into the sounds of the room, the sounds of your breath. One more breath. Okay, press yourself back up to hands and knees. You're going to take your right knee forward and your right foot off to the side. We're going to come to pigeon. So you're going to slide that left knee back. You want to have your right knee outside your hip and your right heel towards your left hip crease. There's a lot of space. You're going to put a block underneath your right butt cheek. And then you can come forward any amount. You can have a block underneath your forehead if you have a block. You could stack your fists. You could have prayer hands and kind of rest your forehead on prayer hands. Two more breaths. Hands are coming down. You're pressing yourself back up. Take your back knee and just bring it forward so that you can come back to tabletop. And then again, just move your hips around here. Maybe bring them back towards your heels and then forward. And then back towards your heels. And then forward. And back to tabletop. Left knee is coming forward. And you're going to find pigeon on the opposite side. Make sure that right foot and knee are behind the right hip. And then come down. Find your expression of the pose. Try not to let that right heel kind of flop out to the side. So I find it helpful to keep my right toes tucked because then it kind of keeps the alignment and the integrity of that joint. If you're going to bring your feet flat, rather than let your whole leg relax and your foot just kind of flop out to the side, turn the heel up so it's in line with your toes. You can push your toes down a bit. Maybe that helps kind of you remember to keep everything in alignment. Yes. Where are you at in your mind? Are you just here? Are you just being the awesome you that you are, the perfectly imperfect you that you are, without trying to control anything to make it more than it is or more than it needs to be? Or I'm going to take 3 more breaths. All right, here's the change. You're going to press yourself back up, but now you're going to sit on that left glute. So if you have a prop, remove it. You're going to sit on the left glute. You're going to bring the right foot all the way forward. Untuck your left foot. You can grab the back of your knees and just gently roll yourself onto your back. I'm just going to adjust my shirt because there's a knot and it doesn't feel very good. All right, elbows inside the knees, hands outside the feet. So if you notice when I do that, my bum lifts up off the floor. But once I have my feet, I want to press my bum back down. So press the sacrum tailbone back down. If it's too much and that's not accessible for you, then I'd like you to grab behind the knees and just really practice lengthening the spine. So tucking the shoulder blades flat, pressing the sacrum tailbone down. So you have a little bit of space under your lower back. Or you have your feet and your knees are out. It's almost like a bound angle on your back. Or you come to happy baby. And then you just kind of move around. You can straighten your legs. See if you can give your lower back a massage. And then give your glutes a massage. Yeah, your hips. Right now I'm holding my ankles and my knees are out. Like that bound angle shape. Knees can come in and then release to your final resting pose. I'm just going to undo this knot so that it's way more comfortable. Okay. So shoulder blades are tucked underneath you. Your toes are out to the side. Your feet are kind of flopping open. Your palms are up. So just take a scan of your body. Like you see this in movies sometimes, there's like sci-fi movies where there's like this blue, almost like laser light that kind of scans from the bottom all the way up to the top. That's actually what I visualize when I think of scanning the body. I think I'm actually starting at the soul and like I have this mind, my computer mind is like going through my body and just like, how is everything feeling? Is there tension? Is everything in alignment? Can I relax here? And it's coming all the way up over my face.
Letting me soften and notice and feel everything. Bring movement to your fingers and to your toes. Take a stretch. Draw your knees into your chest. Rock yourself up to seated, or press yourself up through fetal position. Find easy pose, just like when you started class today. Bring your hands to your body, lower your chin. You know, namaste popped into my head because that's often what we say at the end of class. And namaste is really about seeing the beauty in others because you see the beauty in yourself, right? The light in me sees and honors the light in you. I think what's important here is the light in me sees and honors the light in you. Do you see and honor your own light? Do you see and honor your own beauty? Do you see and honor your own imperfections? Do you trust yourself? Do you trust and connect with who you are on a regular basis so that you can trust and connect with others on a regular basis? Thank you so much. Let's spread our arms out to the side and take a deep breath in. Fingertips overhead and exhale all of this goodness into your heart, into my heart, into our collective heart. Thanks for showing up today. Thanks for being with me, practicing with me, moving with me, trusting me. I see you.